My name is David Ike, and I am going to show you a really easy way to outline a new story from scratch. Now, the gimmick is that I don't know what I'm going to outline. I'm going to be making up this story on the fly from a prompt, and let's pull that up right now. I've got a random generator here that's going to run and give me just a little seed of a story. So today we have a mystery. This should be fun. Never really done a mystery before. And the seed is embarking upon an enterprise of insurrection in the hope of ameliorating certain evil conditions. Love the wording of these. We have as our elements a young reporter, more interested in chasing skirts than chasing stories. We have a victim of blackmail, desperate to keep their secret past a secret. Interesting. So let's copy this over to my notes and see what we can make of this. Embarking upon an enterprise of insurrection in the hope of ameliorating certain evil conditions. Okay? So we have some sort of insurrection in a small nation. Perhaps the government's not been very good. The people are rising up, and there is a young reporter caught in the middle of all this. He's been, and somehow there's a victim of blackmail mixed up in this as well. Perhaps the reporter is trying to get to the truth of it. This could be pretty complicated for a short story, but we might be able to do something with it. So the first thing we want to establish is what is the desire of our protagonist. This is going to be what drives the story. If you don't have a strong desire, there's no story that really can happen. So I think the insurrection is going to be more the background of the story. So we have a reporter. Said he's more interested in chasing skirts than chasing stories, but maybe somehow he stumbled upon something from one of the girls that he's talking to, and he stumbled upon a huge story, and maybe it's going to pull him, despite himself, into the story, and he's going to want to know the truth. That's a good desire for a young reporter, is the truth. So our protagonist, I think, is the young reporter. Now, the opposing force seems like it would be the victim of blackmail. Now, this victim of blackmail perhaps is someone important in the government. Maybe he's going to use this insurrection as a smokescreen to hide his malfeasance. This is a tough one. Mysteries are not my strong suit here, so I think we're really going to see the strength of this process in helping to pull a good story out of a puzzling premise. Okay, so I'm thinking for the victim of blackmail, I'm thinking instead of being a part of the government, maybe this ought to be someone of some prominence in the embassy. So say this is the U.S. Embassy. The reporter is an American reporter on the scene in this insurrection, not resurrection. And in the midst of this insurrection, he comes across this story about some malfeasance of, let's go all the way to top, and let's go with the ambassador. So the opposing force is going to be the U.S. ambassador, desperate to keep his secret past a secret. Okay, so the reporter, the mystery is, what has the ambassador been up to? What is his dark secret? So let's start with the end in mind. We'll go straight to the resolution. And it's a short story, so we're not going to be able to go too in-depth. So I think let's make this the moment when the reporter achieves his desire of the truth. He hasn't brought the ambassador down or anything like that, but he knows that he's got his man, and this is the story that's really going to make his career. So, reporter discovers the truth, knows that this is the story that will make his career and end the ambassadors. Okay. That seems like a good conclusion to work toward. So we'll go to the hook. Now our hook can be the rising discontent in the capital city. the murmuring crowds. But where is the reporter? He's in the dive bar down by the docks, chatting up a pretty woman. So we know that our reporter is starting off, he's not really focused. There's all this stuff going on in the city, and he ought to be in the midst of it, finding out what's going on, writing his reports. And instead, he's distracted. But he learns something from her about the ambassador. Something she shouldn't have said. Okay, and that gives us our hook into the story. So there's this insurrection going on, or growing, and maybe something about the ambassador's malfeasance is going to be a spark as well. Something perhaps that shouldn't be going on is going on with the local government that's going to perhaps be the spark to really set off the insurrection. But our reporter doesn't know that yet. So maybe, going out of order, but no, we'll come back to that. Because let's follow the process. Let's see where the process leads us. Especially in a case like this where we really don't know where we're going. The process is super helpful. So we have our resolution, we have our hook. Now our midpoint. The midpoint is where the protagonist moves from reacting to all that's happened from the hook and the twist and the pinch point. He's making this change from reacting to all that. There's perhaps a twist. It's a great place for a twist. And it gives him new information that he can now start being proactive, going out and taking action, taking the fight to the enemy. So the midpoint is our transition point when that happens. So up to now he's been reacting, maybe following his nose as a reporter, trying to learn more. And the midpoint, I think the midpoint needs to be something explosive, something that if it came out, if it were true and it came out, it would throw the whole nation into an uproar and get the ambassador recalled. So reporter learns something explosive. If true, it would rock this little nation and get the ambassador recalled. Now, we don't know what the secret is exactly. We don't need to know at this point. Right now, we're just really shaping. We're getting a rough shape for the story. We don't need to know particulars yet. That can come later as we develop this concept further. So the midpoint. That's our midpoint. We're going to move back to the first twist. So you can see we go, the end, go beginning, and then the midpoint, and we're going to keep on filling until we have the whole structure filled out. So the first twist, and now this is where I wish I'd written down the idea that I had. It was perhaps I should have done that, but we start off with our hook. The reporter's talking to this girl in the dive, and she says something she shouldn't have, something that is going to connect the ambassador to this to some problem with the government. So our first twist, I think in this situation, the reporter's been, he's not really following any stories. He should be. There's this brewing insurrection all around him. And we need something that's going to wake him up out of his sleep, if you will, and it's going to pull him into the story. That's our hook that's pulling him into the story. And we need something like some twist that's really going to, he was interested and now he's committed. This is something that I think needs to commit him. Okay. Okay. So the girl that he's talking to in the bar, someone saw her talking to a reporter and she ends up dead. The girl he was talking to winds up dead. Someone saw her talking to a reporter. All right. Now this is what's going to really hit home to this reporter, and it's going to get him committed to find out what is going on. Okay. From the first twist, we're going to go to the big setback. So there's some sort of malfeasance going on. The ambassador is deeply involved in it. He's on the take somehow. The problems are reaching a point where the people are getting upset, and ready to revolt. There are powers that are willing to murder to keep this secret a secret, and so they're going to threaten the reporter himself, and then somehow he's going to, through this, learn the final secret and escape with his life. So our big setback is that the reporter is captured, cornered, threatened with his life. And so that means that we also need to get the reporter out of there. So he's going to discover the truth and escapes. Now let's go back. So we know our main twists. So the girl ends up dead. Reporter learns the first hint of this, or the explosive secret isn't a proof, but he knows what the secret probably is, and he needs to pursue it further. And then his own life is threatened. So those are our big twists. So first pinch point. This is the trouble and the grief in the second quarter of the story that the hero goes through to get from the hook to the midpoint. So hook is the first quarter. Pinch point is the second. First pinch point is the second quarter, and then the midpoint's a transition to the third quarter pinch point, and the setback's a transition to the resolution. So the pinch point is pretty easy. It's a mystery. He's a reporter, so he's going to start talking to his contacts. Even though he's kind of a lazy reporter, he still has contacts. He has his ear to the ground. So reporter starts talking to contacts, trying to learn the secret that killed the girl. But at this point, he's still just reacting. He knows there's something going on. He's trying to find out what it is. Midpoint, he learns. That leads us into the second pinch point. So now he really knows there's something here. And he's determined now that if this is true, he wants to destroy this guy. No matter what the consequence is, he's going to get this guy. And anybody else who's a part of his scheme, whatever it is. And so now his efforts are to gather evidence and proof, not just rumor, but proof. So reporter seeks proof and evidence of this accusation, and this draws him closer to the ambassador's den of evil, whatever it might be. And again, we don't know exactly what the secret is. Looks like it's going to be something pretty terrible, that if it's enough to incite a revolution, get people killed, that sort of stuff. But we don't know what that is yet. We don't need to know. We have our outline. So we could take this outline and develop it further, work out what the secrets are, what country this happens in, give characters names, things like that. But right now, we don't need that. All we need is, we know the shape of the story. We can look at this and say, yeah, I want to know more about this story. I want to find out what happens in particular. I found what the secret is. And looking at the shape of the story, we can know, okay, the shape is sound. This is a good structure. And now we can fill it in and actually develop and write the story. So that is the process that I wanted to show you. I think it's really helpful for developing a story. And you can see, I'm not really a good mystery writer exactly. It's not my genre of choice, but the process works. I can take it for even something I'm not super confident in and end up with a good, solid story that might actually be fun to write. It'd be fun to take this and bring it in all the way. So maybe I'll do that. We'll see. But my question for you is, what problems do you run into with writing? What are your what's hardest for you? I'd love to hear about it. Write a little comment down in the comment section down there, and let me know what's hardest for you about writing. While you're down there, be sure to like and subscribe if you found this helpful. Please share it with a friend if you think that might be helpful to them. And I teach more about this process down. If you look in the description, I've got a link to a little book that I wrote on how to outline and write a short story. It goes more into depth with this process and how to use it to write a story that will sell. So take a look at that if you're interested, and I will see you next time. Thank you.